Happy Friday evening.
What's up,
Happy
everybody?
Saturday morning, everybody, wherever you are in the world right now.
Could be still Friday afternoon in some places.
Right? So, we are the F and Marks, and welcome to episode 123 of our podcast. I'm Jay.
And I'm Brainless Bob.
And
no shots, Kevin, sorry.
Yeah, shots are not too many right now. But we got a lot rolling, but we're going to start off by plugging a few things. Our friends at Daily Wrestling Entertainment, where we do our Facebook Live every week, some asshole decided to hack their page. So if you have not already gone back and re-liked their page on Facebook, please go back and do that. You'll see that at this point there's like 240 or 250 likes on that page. So that is the correct one to re-like. Make sure you go like that page. That's where we go live again on Facebook every week. And obviously we're here on Twitter and we're here on YouTube.
What's up, Chris?
What's going on, Chris? Thanks for tuning in, dude.
You can also follow them on Twitter at THE_DWE.
Yes.
The Daily Wrestling Entertainment's Twitter account.
They post a lot of cool articles and they have some fun with stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, definitely like that page and let's help them build their audience back up.
And I'd like to take this moment before we kick into the episode. Let's be nice to the brainless one today. After what happened on Tuesday, I still really haven't fully recovered, and it was a very, very sad day for the brainless one. Okay, and I'm not going to bring it up because I'm just going to get triggered.
Well, if Jimmy comes here, I'm going to...
Oh, the one person who can definitely trigger me the most is Don't Eat the Brown Snow, because he actually...
I told him, I messaged him today that we were going live in about an hour ago, so he will be tuning in, baby.
That was actually one thing I wanted to touch base on is...
Kurt Angle's farewell match. Who should it be against?
Don't ask Tommy. If you have to ask, then you already know I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's just put it this way. It has something to do with one of my football teams. God damn it. I was going to say one of my sports teams, but I'm a brainless dumbass, and I've just completely let the cat out of the bag. Really don't want to talk about it. It was very, very sad, and I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck that team that shall remain nameless was trying to do.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this.
Yes,
unfortunately.
Yeah. Goldberg versus Angle.
That's very interesting. I think maybe we'll talk about that after we do our shameless plugging.
Damn straight. We'll plug even more. So, after a week off, we are back. Yeah. That's right, Tommy.
Exactly what that meant. So
this is you.
Found out for myself.
Shall remain nameless.
Yes. Tastes so good on your lips. And not only are we brought to you by Colt 45, we're brought to you by...
They make sure you ain't booty.
Oh my God, that was so cold.
So good, wasn't it? So good. So good.
That was absolutely delicious. Woo! Wow, I really needed that.
Yeah. Feel better?
No, I'm not going to feel any better. Especially because if they do what I think they're going to do in April, I'm going to be very, very upset.
All right. So, definitely lots to get to. I mean, basically, it seemed like WWE was like, why don't we wait until Fastlane? And then all of a sudden, we're going to be like a machine gun and announce every match for Wrestlemania.
Pretty much. And one of the matches they announced this week on Monday, Kurt Angle came out and made the announcement that he will have his farewell match, his retirement match at Wrestlemania. Didn't announce who his opponent was going to be. I actually saw yesterday that he actually tweeted out and said, "Hey guys, I have my Wrestlemania match is going to be my farewell match. Who would you like to see me wrestle?" And I'm like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's pretty cool, Tommy. One of your
One of Tommy, follower of the year 2 times over.
And that's not the title he gets.
And Hall of Famer.
He is Evan Mark's Hall of Famer.
But has an indie wrestler who's one of his students. Pretty awesome.
Tommy, make sure you send us a picture so that we can put it when we actually do like our Hall of Fame page.
I've got a picture. Don't worry.
You have a picture of Tommy? Yes. Hope it's a good one too.
It is a good one.
Good.
I have plans for these things, but these things that I have plans for take time and time.
Yes.
But that was nice.
Oh, that was good.
So Kurt Angle, one of the people
like
that I think would be interesting as a possibility to go against him would be John Cena. I know last week we discussed, John Cena versus Samoa Joe. Personally, I would rather see that match, Samoa Joe versus Cena, as opposed to Angle versus Cena. Outside of that, I'm trying to think of like somebody specific that would be an interesting match for him.
The perfect person, unfortunately, is the reigning, defending, undisputed Universal Champion Brock Lesnar. He would be perfect. I hate to say it, he would be absolutely perfect. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing somebody like Shelton Benjamin. They do have, they have a history together.
They do.
And, I think Shelton Benjamin would give Kurt Angle a hell of a match, too.
The thing is I almost feel like for the farewell match, maybe it should be against somebody younger. And
he puts him over.
Yeah, and I think it might be like somebody like a Baron Corbin. Because they've had an issue, and I don't know. Where Corbin ends up winning the match, and then Angle ends up kind of beating the crap out of him, maybe at the end. And
here's an interesting name to throw out there: EC3.
Not bad.
That's one name that really comes to mind. They could do like a Kurt Angle versus the Ricochet.
Well,
get Ricochet over.
I don't think. I think we're going to see Ricochet in multiple tag team matches during WrestleMania weekend.
Ricochet is now the king of oversaturation.
He will not go against Jason Jordan, unfortunately, Tommy, because Jason Jordan more or less has a neck problem so severe that he has lost feeling, I think, in his hands, and more or less it sounds like his wrestling career is done. And that would have been a good way to kind of close out that storyline, but...
Oh, you want Chad Gable?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Chad Gable
would be fantastic.
Yeah. He would have been a better son, I think, for that storyline. But
hell, I wouldn't even rule out like a Kurt Angle Samoa Joe match. Just saying, just throwing it out there.
Personally, you know who I think the best opponent for him at this moment would be, like as far as like wrestling ability and bringing him to a really good match, would be AJ Styles.
Yes.
But AJ is going against Randy Orton.
Got a much better match. And I'm not trying to discount or disrespect.
Well, honestly, I think this would be like on the same level as Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair, where Shawn Michaels carried Ric Flair, 60-plus-year-old Ric Flair, to a great match. Finn Balor would be actually a great pick. He's got nothing going on right now. You know what? Tommy? I like that. Finn Balor.
I got a very interesting name. Another interesting name I could throw out there. You know who else doesn't have a match at WrestleMania? The Undertaker.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like the Undertaker's getting a match this year. And if he did, would you want two, 50-somethings in the ring with each other who are definitely way past their prime?
You're right, and the only way I would
and we're already getting one of those.
There's actually there would only be one opponent that the Undertaker could fight at WrestleMania that's over the age of 50 that I would actually want to see.
Okay.
And that would be fucking Sting.
Yes.
Just because oh God.
Just to see those entrances at night would
in
be...
the Meadowlands, home of the...
Yeah. The 5 and 11 Giants. Yeah.
They could retire each other. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with
but Tommy, I honestly, I think your Finn Balor idea might be the best one. I'll go with that. Is fucking awesome. So yeah, that match was announced, and another person saying that his last match is going to be at WrestleMania, and had one of the biggest tisms I've ever seen on TV. It was almost as big as the tism as when he quit when Bret Hart was the guest general manager of Monday Night Raw. Big Dave Batista. Yeah. Big Dave Batista came out screaming, "Give me what I want! Give me what I want!" And then, again, go to Daily Wrestling Entertainment on Facebook. They have this great video between Triple H and Batista. See you, Chris. Thanks for tuning in, dude.
Chris. Always a pleasure, man.
They cut Batista and Triple H to the Spice Girls.
Oh my god!
From the song "Wannabe."
I haven't seen it yet.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Make sure you go to Daily Wrestling Entertainment on Facebook. But Batista said, "You know what I want? I want my one last match at WrestleMania against you." And Triple H kept on trying to do the power play on him, and Batista's like, "Hey, I don't need this. This is what I want. If you're not going to give me this, I'm just going to walk away again." And then Triple H like, "Hey, you quit just like you quit everything, blah, 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 blah." But no,
hey,
it's a good,
minute.
exchange.
Wait a minute. He didn't quit the Avengers. He got disappeared by Thanos.
Right.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, and it's almost...
But you should be on spoiler alert before you spoil
things.
things.
Come on, it's been 10 years. 10 years. It's been 10 months since that movie came out. You know, if you haven't seen it yet, then you know, shame on you. You know, that was one of the hardest days I've ever had to work at work, because I actually went and saw that movie on Saturday or Sunday, whatever day it was.
One of the hardest things at work that you had to work?
One of the hardest days I had to work at work, and because I couldn't talk about the movie. I basically had to shut my entire department out so that me and one of the other people I work with could actually discuss it, because people were like, "I don't want to hear about it." And I'm like, "Okay, then get the fuck out of my office."
Right. So anyway, Big Dave Batista and Triple H are having a no-holds-barred match.
I swear to God,
at WrestleMania.
If Triple H comes up dressed like Thanos at WrestleMania, he will win WrestleMania this year.
I'm looking forward to these entrances. They're going to be pretty epic. The fact that they have this match gimmicked up. I like the hard-hitting style stuff anyway, so I'm fine with this. You know. Yeah.
Nice.
So,
new TV.
Yeah, he got the new 4K TV.
Last week,
Yeah. He said he was going to get it, so he's got it now.
Nice.
Awesome, Tommy.
You're gonna be able to see like the nose hairs in Triple H's face when he freaking comes out to the ring.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So, I'm actually pretty psyched for this match. I thought we weren't going to get it because Triple H effed up his I thought it was his pec.
His pec.
And it seemed like it wasn't going to happen this year, but I'm just, hey, we're getting it this year instead of 36. So I think it'll be a fun match.
I'm pretty sure you saw the nose hairs in Dave Gettleman's face when he freaking announced that he was trading away his best player for a sack of marbles, a package of baseball cards, and.
Are you going to talk about the wrestling match that we're?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm excited for. Honestly, I actually am hyped for freaking Triple H and Batista. I really am. I think them making it a no holds barred match makes it that much better. If it was just a regular wrestling match, I don't know if people would have been as vested. The fact that they
it's a big personal thing.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a big personal thing. They started it. Obviously, there was a lot of animosity between the two of them when they were in Evolution together. Then Batista left Evolution, and him and Triple H feuded for quite a bit. And Batista became one of the biggest stars on SmackDown Live. And then they kind of rekindled everything when they had the 1000th episode of SmackDown Live. And Batista kind of did his thing with Triple H. And, Orton was like, "Oh, shit," in the background, which is still one of my favorite things.
Orton's been pretty good at that.
Randy
Orton, when Samoa Joe said, "Hey, the group, we're in a group now, and it's my turn to talk. You should know that, Jeff." and Orton was just like, "Fuck." But yeah, anyway, a personal feud like this deserves like a good dust up where they beat the hell out of each other. And honestly, I think because of the two guys, who they are, with how lenient WWE's been recently with blood, I think we're going to actually get kind of a
blood feud.
Yeah. Literally a blood feud with this one. It deserves to end this way, and Big Dave deserves to go out how he wants to. He's a bigger star now than he was when he left WWE, and he doesn't need them at all.
I swear to God, if Star-Lord comes out and gets involved in the match, I will lose my shit. Chris Pratt could be at WrestleMania.
What if Josh Brolin is in the corner of Triple H?
That would be cool. I still think Triple H is going to come out. And if he does, that would be fantastic.
But yeah, I'm glad we're going to get to see this match. As much as we talk about how part-timers should not get like super prominent roles, I don't think this is going to be like top of the card. I think this is going to be like 3/4 of the way through the show. I think they're going to give them plenty of time. It's Triple H. They'll give him plenty of time.
Of course they do. They got to give him 45 minutes just to come out to the ring.
But like,
Christ.
I'm not upset about this one match because it's not stealing thunder from the top of the card, in my view.
And the thing is that Triple H, Triple H is the reason why WrestleMania goes 9.5 hours, because we have to go like 3.5 hours just for his fucking entrance. That's why.
Wait! Don't even complain about his entrances. His entrances are fucking awesome.
They are awesome.
I didn't get I knew that they were trying to tie in with the Terminator, and I didn't quite get that. But like all the other ones are awesome. I'm not going to complain about his entrances, just like the fucking War Raiders at the last takeover. Like you heard that for like a minute, 2 minutes before they even came out. And you know what? It builds anticipation. When you're trying to have this gigantic presentation, it makes complete sense for them to do that.
And there's only been 2 people in the history of WrestleMania that it took longer for them to get to the ring during their entrance than Triple H, and one of them is The Undertaker.
And the other one is the birthday boy, the Iron Sheik.
Who is still on his way to the ring for WrestleMania 38, and that was like 18 years ago? God damn.
Yeah.
Fuck.
He'll get there.
18 years ago. Fuck, that shit was 18 years ago.
Damn straight.
The night Duke the Dumpster Joshi was like the 5th person eliminated in the gimmick battle royal, and I picked him to win it.
Yeah.
But the
Giants to be in the playoffs last year.
The worst prediction in the history of my life. And I'm pretty sure that the only person that had it worse was the person who actually took the Repo Man to win it at WrestleMania 17.
And then there was that great prediction a couple of years ago about the Giant loss in the Super Bowl
for the shoe at you.
For the Patriots.
Just remember, Nick Foles beating the Patriots in that Super Bowl got him to fleece Jacksonville at $88 million.
Good for him.
Or 84, something like that.
Yeah. So.
But anyway, so let's get into Fastlane.
Yeah, Fastlane was, for whatever reason, I saw a decent amount of people complaining about it. I thought it was a really solid show. Actually, I'm not going to complain too much about what happened here.
I wasn't really completely sold on the show. I know that a lot of people's ire of the show was the impromptu match that they made in the middle of the pay-per-view. And I remember watching the pre-show on Sunday, and they were like, "Oh, well, breaking news, we're going to add a Fatal 4-Way United States Championship match that we just saw on Smackdown this past week, where Joe will be defending his U.S. Championship against R-Truth, Cien Almas, and frickin' Mysterio." And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm like, it's meaningless.
Well, originally it was supposed to be Mysterio and Andrade, and you know what? They saw how hot the freaking crowd was for this.
Thanks to R-Truth.
Well, in general, for the four of them, they had like a great match the week before on SmackDown. So they're like, going, "Hey, why the heck don't we do this again?" Whatever. If that's the one thing you're going to complain about, hey, I'm not going to get too crazy about it.
No, I wasn't really like.
You know what, Tommy? I've found with WWE lately, they kind of have latched onto a few things, and it's a little. Been doing gauntlet matches. It seems like they can't have a strict one-on-one match. it seems like everybody has to be a triple threat or a fatal four-way, and we're getting that before WrestleMania. We're getting it at WrestleMania. We're getting it at TakeOver. And to me, I will say that it dilutes the feuds. The feud is Ronda and Becky. They're trying to insert Charlotte into it, and I'm sure match-wise this will be a great match, but if you want to have the strict, clear line of delineation, you need to have it be Ronda versus Becky, just like it should be Shayna Baszler versus
whoever.
One person, and it looks like we're heading towards a fatal four-way. For that, and I know it's the biggest weekend of the year, and they're probably trying to just fit everybody on.
It's not looking like it's going to be. It actually was announced William Regal after the match when Shayna Baszler beat the shit out of Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, and Shayna Baszler. Bianca Belair. He actually announced that it's going to be a fatal four-way for the Women's Championship at NXT TakeOver.
So. Again, I prefer, the feuds to be clearly delineated and get them.
Why are you going to use such big words? Remember, you're like Dwight Schrute, and I'm Kevin.
Right.
Kevin Malone.
Yeah. Why
talk many words when little words work well?
Right. So. Anyway, WWE's been doing a lot of stuff like that lately where they have a bunch of beatdowns. Mm-hmm. They have another thing that they've been doing a lot of lately, in it's every match, it seems, they have somebody, one guy punches, the other guy punches, or one girl punches and the other girl punches, or one guy kicks and the other person kicks. And they do the back and forth thing, but they do it too much. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, just do it once in the night, but this is just a general trend I see. Another general trend I see that I'm not exactly a fan of is when somebody takes a devastating move and then they unleash a devastating move after doing that, and then both the guys are down on the ground. It's like, for me, it kind of takes me out of the match because, hey, I'm trying to feel like this is a real, actual, battle, and I'm like going, this is not a battle.
Right. And I agree with you because it seems like it is happening quite a bit. And I just wish, and another thing that WWE has been doing a lot lately is kind of like recycling storylines.
I don't mind they recycle storylines. I mean, there are only so many that you could do to get you could add your own different twist to it. Yeah, like the Kofi Kingston one is very similar to Daniel Bryan, but they're going differently about it.
Very interesting tidbit about that I actually read this week. Freddie Prinze Jr. You remember Freddie Prinze Jr.?
Of course I do.
A guy who I really didn't like back in the late 90s, early 2000s because he was married to Sarah Michelle Gellar. And I know they're still married and everything, but I hated him back then because of that fact. And then, he started being more out there and just
he loves wrestling.
He's a huge wrestling fan. Had 2 separate stints as a writer for WWE Creative. And because of that, I actually love Freddie Prinze Jr. now. He actually came out and said that back in 2000 and I believe either 8 or 9, he pitched a storyline about a gauntlet match for Kofi Kingston. He actually said that he pitched this idea of this gauntlet match that they came up with for Kofi Kingston about 9 years ago, and it fell on deaf ears. And
sometimes it takes time for things to percolate, so to speak.
That's actually on the board too, Kofi's Road to WrestleMania, and I kind of spoiler alert that one. But yes, Kofi Kingston has a
opportunity
for his match at WrestleMania, and
he's going through a gauntlet match.
And I know that 20% of that gauntlet match you're going to be triggered for. So, well, that's I'm just going to leave it at that. I really do hope they do it right. If they're going to do this gauntlet match, they got to do it right. But they're not. They're going to do something fucking retarded, and I'm going to be triggered about that.
I mean, they might wait until the last match of it, and then Daniel Bryan decides he's going to beat the hell out of him.
That has nothing to do with it. My theory is that they should do it by you start with your weakest link, And then you go to the two that I think that they should go to. Doesn't matter.
Well, tell them your theory.
All right, so my theory of well, not really my theory, how I would book the Gauntlet match is you have Captain Wedgie himself lead off the fucking Gauntlet match.
A.K.A. Eric Rowan, if you don't know that.
Then I would either have Sheamus or Cesaro. It doesn't really matter which one of the two. You could flip-flop either one of them. You could have one go second, the other one go third. Then I would go with the Samoa Joe as your cleanup hitter in that situation. And if you really want to do it storyline-wise, you have him finish off against Randy Orton. Because that would make the most sense.
Right.
Because it was Randy Orton that basically deflated Kofi Kingston's run about 10 years ago.
That only makes sense to marks like us. It doesn't make sense to little kids right now. And like that would be would be like WWE's way of giving a little wink to the audience. Like,
yeah, I like that. That's how I would book it. That's exactly how I would book it. But we all know how they're going to really book it. They're going to book it where he's going to lead off against Randy Orton. Then he's going to go up against Samoa Joe. And then he's going to go up against the two members of the bar, and he's going to finish up with the fucking, with the weakest link. And it's going to be stupid, and I'm going to be pissed because it's not going to make any sense because Eric Rowan is the worst wrestler of the five.
No, it actually does make sense story-wise because he's the gatekeeper to Daniel Bryan. He is Daniel Bryan's heater.
So you're telling me that Kofi Kingston is the key master, or is that Daniel Bryan?
He is the key master,
and he's the gatekeeper.
Yes. We have got to get these two together.
Not very often that we get a Ghostbusters reference on the podcast. I'm actually very proud of us.
Yes.
I love that shit. Fantastic movie. Yes, Tommy, yes.
All right, so
Joe did go over in the Fatal 4-Way match. They did have another solid match. It was defended on the pre-show. Big fucking surprise.
The secondary titles on the main roster have definitely been treated like shit lately.
Oh, don't even get me started about Monday Night Raw. What happened with the secondary title?
We'll get into it.
I know we are going to get into it. I'm pretty fucking pissed off about that.
So,
and I'm drinking tonight, and I had a bad week, fucking sports-wise. So sports entertainment, you got sucked into this one too.
Right. All right, so we had a match between Mandy Rose and Asuka for the SmackDown Women's title. And the end of this match was definitely something that was like, all right, actually, like, storyline-wise, it feels like Asuka's got nothing going on now. Literally, Asuka's got nothing going on because the storyline now is Mandy Rose and what's her name?
Ray, if somebody asks you if you're a guy,
right,
you say yes.
But yeah, so what's her name? Who runs with Mandy Rose? Why can't I fucking think of her name? Sonya Deville accidentally. Well, she was trying to find a
kendo stick.
Something under the ring. She wasn't.
No, she pulled the kendo stick out.
But she ends up pulling out the apron. Mandy Rose ends up tripping, and Asuka ends up winning the match because Mandy Rose fell over and Asuka locked, and that's the match. Then that led to SmackDown, which more or less the exact opposite happened, except for it was Sonya Deville who ate it, and they're developing a feud there. And
so stupid.
But again, where does this leave Asuka for WrestleMania?
She's gonna put you in the Asuka lock. That's what she's gonna do.
Fine. Build the storyline.
Hey, if you want to have a WrestleMania moment, I'm not gonna be against that. I've been dying to have a WrestleMania moment. I was actually hoping to have one this year when I dropped a tray of cupcakes in front of that fat piece of shit.
Right.
Ooh. That's an interesting name that I didn't even think of as an opponent for Kurt Angle. Kevin Owens. This is going to be like this the whole night where we're going to talk about something like, oh, that's another good one for Kurt Angle.
So, this match was definitely not something to write home about. This was one of the... I think this was really the only match for me where I was like... And I love Asuka. I love Asuka, and this match was nothing. It was a big nothing burger, and it kind of sucked dick.
Wow. There's a lot of hatred in that.
Yeah.
What did I tell you before the podcast, Jay? Embrace the hate.
So moving on from that match, we had the Usos versus Shane and Miz. I actually like this match. I like how they booked this thing. I wasn't sure. I thought it was going to be the Miz turning on Shane at the end because I think Miz works way, way, way better as a heel. But they went the other way, and they had teased Shane going heel during the Crown Jewel. But they finally did the turn.
Pulled the trigger.
And 3 or 4 months later, and again, setting up a WrestleMania match. No surprise here, and it's fine. They built up this feud fine. I don't think we're going to get the match out of Shane that, he's gotten in the last couple of years, because, Miz is a solid performer, but he's not AJ Styles.
He had a match against The Undertaker inside a Hell in a Cell.
You had a gimmick there that they could wow the crowd with.
And the thing is that he had a tag team partner to kind of carry him last year. Although, if there were two people that you could be in a tag team against, it would be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, because you know what you're getting out of the two of them. So I guess, you're right.
I think it'll be all right.
It'll be serviceable.
But,
see,
not every feud is going to be,
The one thing about that match, or not even the match, but the ending, that really kind of just it irked me a little bit, was how, obviously Shane was beating the shit out of the Miz after the match, and then he went and he grabbed Mr. Hero himself, the Miz's dad, and was like, this is all your fault, this is your kid, and he just basically did all that shit. Let me ask you something. If you were a wrestler and somebody was doing that to you, do you think Archie would have hopped over the railing and tried to beat the shit out of the dude? Yeah,
probably. Even if he knew he was going to get his ass handed to him, he probably would have.
I think everybody out there, if everybody's dad out there saw their son getting the shit kicked out of him like that, they would all react the same way, except for my father, because my father would laugh and take pictures. Because my father would think it's the funniest thing in the world. Then he'd probably hop the railing and beat the shit out of him.
All right, focus.
That just really irked me. I think his dad should have got involved. I think his dad should have went in there and tried to get Shane off of his kid.
And then Shane could have done the same thing and choked him.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is that and it's security's like, no, don't go over the railing, don't go over the railing. And as soon as Shane left, they're like, all right, now you can go. And it's come on, man. That's so fucking stupid. But it's WWE booking, so whatever. I've never had a problem with WWE booking in my entire life.
Right.
So, moving along.
So we had the Boston Hug Connection versus Nia Jackson Tamina.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm so glad that Bayley was on a team that won on Sunday, because if I had to see Nia Jax hoisting that title, interesting.
I vaguely remember the story, Tommy, of Cowboy Bob wanting to knock out your dad.
That is very interesting. I'm going to have to hear this story one of these days. Not now, but one of these days, Tommy, I would like to hear that. Maybe the next time I go to Connecticut, I'll find out.
Right.
But, yes, we had the Boston Hug Connection going up against Tamina Snuka and the fat bitch, cunt, cow, heifer, whore, skank, wad, Nia Jax. The only thing I took away from this was the fact that Beth Copeland, a.k.a.
Beth Phoenix,
a.k.a. Edge's wife, was doing commentary, and after the match, because of the fact that Nia and Tamina basically attacked the Boston Hug after the match and everything, and Tamina got into Beth Phoenix's face. They actually started beating the shit out of her, and Eddie Neidhart came to the rescue because that's her best friend, and she got her comeuppance too. Which is starting for me to believe that we are going to see WWE Hall of Famer Beth Phoenix at WrestleMania.
Misa thinks we're going to see a triple threat tag team match. Playa.
Thank you.
Again, feeding into this thing that they can't have a one-on-one match. They've got to add people in, and I get it. It's you got kind of the legends. You've got the monster heels, and then you've got the baby faces.
I think there was 3 beatdowns because I want to, if I remember correctly, I want to say that Sasha and Bayley got the shit kicked out of them after the match, and then they beat the shit out of Beth, and then they beat the shit out of Natty, and then kind of, Tamina kind of walked off, and Nia Jax went to go find a Snickers bar or a fucking cheeseburger.
Right.
Or somebody else to hurt.
Yeah.
Literally. And it's the one problem I have with like all these women being in the triple threat match, and the fact that you have the triple threat match for the Raw Women's title, basically the main event of WrestleMania. There's been talk that what they're going to do with the Smackdown titles, that's going to be a fatal 4-way match, because they're kind of building that towards the storyline, and a 4th person on SmackDown is going to be thrown into the match itself. And then let's say you do a triple threat women's tag team match at WrestleMania. You're running out of women.
Into what match?
What do you mean?
A 4th person into what match?
The SmackDown Live Women's Championship.
Okay, you said the SmackDown Championship.
Oh, my fault. The SmackDown Live Women's Championship match they're starting to build that towards a fatal 4-way with the 2 girls, Sonya and Mandy Rose, against Asuka, and they're potentially talking about
Naomi.
Naomi would be the 4th person that they're actually talking about throwing into that match. And then you have the triple threat, and then you have a triple threat for the tag team titles for the women. You're running out of women to have in this women's battle royal, if you even have a women's battle royal.
I would rather have them have the battle royal, Andre the Giant, and I forgot what they renamed it.
They didn't rename it. It's just the women's battle royal.
I'd rather have them do that than have a bunch of triple threat matches
100%.
or fatal 4-ways.
100% agree.
So
you're basically going to have 7 women in the between the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship matches, and then you're going to have another 6 in the tag team. So that's 13 women that you're going to have dedicated to 3 matches on the card, potentially. And you're basically going to water down the women's battle royal, because you're basically going to have like Mickie James versus
and at this
Ruby Riott.
Maybe Alexa Bliss gets into that. I mean, and speaking of Alexa Bliss, she announced herself as the WrestleMania host. Which brings forth, at least for me, a couple of interesting points. Is she more injured than, they've let on? Because there were, some rumors that, like, she came back, but she got injured again. And the fact that, I mean, when she gets on the mic, she could be, like, a top heel and, like, no, we don't want you to do anything in the ring. I mean, it could be like the New Day a couple years ago where they're like, going, hey, you're fun and we could have you host the show, but I think this could be definitely could be interesting having Miss Bliss as the host and just kind of pull some shenanigans on different matches.
Just as long as she's on the card, I'm okay with it. It would be much better if she was actually performing on the card, obviously, because she is.
But she might have to, because it's like there's no women left for the Battle Royal. I think they're not going to have a Battle Royal.
I think they're going to have a shit ton of women in NXT. And I know I say that, and when I'm saying like it's going to be Mickie James and like Ruby Riott, in actuality, I mean, you can have the whole Riott squad in there. You can have Mickie James. You still have Nikki Cross could be a part of it. Ember Moon could still be a part of it. You can have girls like Io Shirai and
Kairi
Sane, Shayna Baszler, all those women. The other 2, Duke and Shafir can be a part of it. You can always they have Lacey Evans, Casey Canizera.
You know what?
Lacey Evans.
Maybe Lacey Evans against Asuka.
I would rather see that, but I think it's gonna end up being either a triple threat or a fatal 4-way for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship at WrestleMania, and just throw in Naomi as well.
Yeah,
that's all.
All right, for those out there, Facebook land, Twitter land, YouTube land, if you guys have any questions, any comments, just throw them our way. Whether it's WrestleMania, whether it's something else. And make sure you like, share, make sure you subscribe, all that stuff. For our page, it's the FNMARKS. And on Facebook, it's at Daily Wrestling Entertainment. Make sure you like that page. That's where we go live every week. And They post some cool shit.
It's a good thing we don't have to spell Daily Wrestling Entertainment out.
No, we already have it. We have it spelled out right in front of us.
But, you know what I mean? Because like typically,
we don't have the same. We wouldn't have the same rhythm.
Like the THE, letter F, letter N, MARKS.
Anyway,
it rolls off my fucking tongue.
Anyway,
speaking.
So we had New Day versus Nakamura and Rusev, which was completely thrown together, made no sense. Even so.
Solid match. Solid match.
They had a good match. As much as I'd prefer there to be some sort of storyline, these guys went out there and performed the hell out of this match. And
very interesting
statistic
that actually occurred at the pay-per-view. This past pay-per-view was the 19th consecutive pay-per-view that Rusev was a part of, not just 19 consecutive pay-per-views, that Rusev lost. So if Rusev has a match at WrestleMania and he loses, he will break the record for the longest losing streak pay-per-view wise in WWE history.
And what does that tell you, kids? Don't get yourself over.
You know what else that tells you? Don't wrestle John Cena for the United States Championship at WrestleMania.
I pray for Samoa Joe every day.
Ironically, do you know who he's tied with for the record for the longest losing streak in pay-per-views in WWE history? If it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have your favorite's gimmick match in the history of professional life.
Oh, Great Khali?
Yes.
The GOAT. Yeah.
See, Tommy knew. Moda! I mean, granted, if it wasn't for the Great Khali, we wouldn't have the greatest match of all time, the Punjabi Prison.
Yes.
I really do hope we get one more of those. I do. I fucks with the Punjabi Prison now because they actually gave us a rather watchable one the last time out.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Great Khali and Batista.
I like the Undertaker versus the Big Show.
That wasn't terrible. But it's like you bring out the Punjabi Prison because of the Great Khali, and then it's like, all right, we're gonna replace you with the fucktard. There's a lot of fucktards.
Maybe we could have a triple threat match with the Singh brothers versus Jinder Mahal.
I'm still hoping. If they gave me Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns in the Punjabi Prison, I would be 140% vested for that.
What if they put somebody who's a crazy high flyer like Mustafa Ali
against like the Ricochet
in the Punjabi Prison against Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers? Oh, so good. So good.
Ooh, another idea for a opponent for Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. Scott Steiner. Because obviously, I mean, they could do it with him and Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe, but we all know that Samoa Joe would not even be in this match because he knows. Oh, no, it was Samoa Joe that was the one because if Kurt Angle was in the match. Steiner math. Because there was an 8% of a chance.
Wait, what if it's a triple threat match between him, Scott Steiner, and Samoa Joe, and we get Steiner math part 2?
As long as he butchers the English language once again,
there's no way he does not. There's no way he doesn't butcher the English language.
He has to butcher it. I mean, that's the best part about the whole thing. That and the fact that his math was 100% dead on accurate. The fact that he completely butchered the English language and was like, okay, Scott, we figured out when you were at the University of Michigan, you went to all your math classes, but English. Me fail English? That's impossible.
Yeah.
And the numbers don't lie. And they spelled disaster for you at WrestleMania, Kurt Angle.
Brother.
Oh, man, that's some funny shit. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I thought it was Scott Steiner, and I kind of laughed on the inside. And I was like, I got to pitch it.
All right, so on this wonderful show, we had a triple threat tag team match. Nothing wrong with the tag team match. It's just all these triple threat and fatal 4-ways that seem to be going on.
Oh, because you know what? 7 days a week. Like they used to say, like Bruno Sammartino said about Haystacks Calhoun, they used to body slam Haystacks Calhoun every day and twice on Saturdays. That's how it feels like with fucking Ricochet and Aleister Black. We get Ricochet and Aleister Black on Mondays on Raw, We get Ricochet and Aleister Black on Tuesdays on SmackDown. We get Ricochet and Aleister Black Wednesdays on NXT. I'm pretty sure we're going to see them in NXT UK at some point.
Well, I'm sure they're going to be a
they're going to be a main event. They're going to be. I mean, they're going to bring back Saturday night's main event, and they're going to be on that. What is it? Velocity. Yeah, they're going to bring back Velocity and play that on Thursdays, and they're going to be on.
They're going to be on Saturday Morning Slam.
Yes, Saturday Morning Slam. Wasn't there a Friday one too?
Well, I mean, they had main event a couple times. It wasn't Saturday night's main event. Like when Andre went against Hogan, it was just called main event because it was on Friday night instead of Saturday.
A Tuesday in Texas, they're gonna be on that shit.
Texas, yeah.
They're gonna have Taboo Tuesday again. They'll be on that shit.
They're gonna be in your house Wrestlemania.
They might just fight in your house.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Rock and Wrestling.
They can restart the Rock and Wrestling.
Ooh, by the way, speaking of Rock and Wrestling, they're having an 80s WrestleCon up in New Jersey at the end of April. I was actually thinking about going, and then King Kong Bundy passed away and wasn't going to be there. But they're going to have your favorite WWE Hall of Famer, Coco Beware, there, and he's going to sing Pile Driver.
I would have to talk to him about that main event that I saw him wrestle in against the one-man gang at Muzzy Field.
Of all the things you're going to ask him if we actually go to that thing, that's what you're going to ask him about the main event at Muzzy Field against the one-man gang? You're not going to ask him, why are you the bottom of the barrel of the WWE Hall of Famers? And don't tell me it's because you have morals and you won't ask him. This is coming from the guy, no pun intended, who thought that Hacksaw Jim Duggan was the garbage man at a fucking wrestling show.
You did that on accident.
Hey guys, how's it going? Hey, what's up, man? Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who was...
You know, Coco Beware, I really think you are the absolute worst Hall of Famer outside of Drew Carey.
And Tori Wilson. And the Bushwhackers. What do Tori Wilson, the Bushwhackers, Drew Carey, and Coco Beware all have in common? They are at the bottom of the barrel.
They are the bar.
But yeah, that tag team triple threat match at Fastlane was...
it was a fine match.
It was a fine match, but again, stupid fucking, let's have multi...
I come back to, I hate champions losing. You work your way up the ladder. You don't sit there and get like fucking a slingshot up to the front of the line because you beat them in a non-title match. No, you go through the other teams. If you don't have enough teams, guess what? Make more fucking teams. You have a big enough roster. Make more teams.
You know,
Gable and Rude are a really good team. They've made themselves into a cohesive unit. You've got like the B team. They do nothing with.
B team.
You've got Zack Ryder and you got
Kurt Hawkins.
They don't use them at all.
The Major Brothers.
You've got the Ascension. You don't do anything with them. If you treat these guys like a joke, guess what? It's going to be a fucking joke. So you need to build up the division. You need to make, each match mean something instead of going, who are we going to have go against the Raw Tag Team Champions? We don't really have anybody in line because we've done a really shitty job booking this. So maybe, let's do a triple threat tag team match that doesn't really make that much sense. All right, the match is great, but...
With two guys who are predominantly known for their run at NXT, who have only been called up to the main roster and working the way they have because, fuck it, that's why. So we can build them up as a tag team that can actually... bring some credibility to the Dusty Rhodes. Oh, sorry.
Dusty Rhodes Classic already has credibility.
I know, but I'm just saying it's building their stock for that because of the fact that they're going on Raw and fighting all these tag teams and then these tag team matches. And I mean it's just oversaturation. But again, the Revival were victorious because you know why? They go hard all day and night. Sorry, I had to go there. I like the Revival, and I really do hate the way that
I fucking loved the Revival. I just hate the fact let's have them lose to have them win. Fucking bullshit. No. I will never, ever, ever like that. Even if they brought like a vintage tag team back to have them lose to that team just to have, like, let's say the New Age Outlaws, not that that would happen, but, you know, they did that like a few years ago. Mm-hmm. You bring back a vintage team like that and you want to try to slingshot them up to the top and give them like a chance at the titles. Like,
I actually could think of a tag team that even you would be like, God damn, if they actually did that, I would not be upset if they actually. That's the tag team I was actually thinking about personally.
But they did that a few years ago. They did that with the Dudleys, and the Dudleys. What if they wanted to? They should have put the tag team titles on them for the 10th time in WWE, and they didn't. 100%. And I'm still for whatever reason they didn't.
The fact that they did it with the fucking New Age Outlaws and not with the Dudley Boys is a fucking travesty. Because the Dudley Boys, in my opinion, are the most colorful and most decorated tag team in professional wrestling history.
That's not opinion. That's fact. They're the most decorated.
I'd say they're the greatest tag team of all time, but you're going to throw out me.
I would say the Legion of Doom.
And that's where I was actually going to pitch. What if they actually were able to bring Hawk back to life and had the Legion of Doom fight the Revival and they beat the Revival? How would you feel about that?
You would feel bad because they're in their 60s.
I'm just saying. I mean, you got to think like, holy shit, they brought Hawk back to life. Yeah, they'd have to beat him. The man came back to life.
Right.
So I figured that would be it. That would be the most ridiculous, outside the box tinfoil hat tag team I could think of. That you would be like, yeah, I'd have to be on board with that.
There's a difference between
because it would never happen.
There's a difference between tinfoil and never gonna happen.
But I think if something like that were, you'd be like, yeah, I'd have to say because if the guy can come back to life, yeah, how are you gonna stop him? Like the Undertaker.
Right.
But speaking of tag teams, since we've been talking about tag teams, and this is a horrible segue, this week WWE announced their newest inductees into the WWE Hall of Fame. And can you dig that, sucker? The Harlem Heat are the newest inductees in the WWE Hall of Fame, making Booker T a 2-time Hall of Famer. So all they got
wait. A two-time Hall of Famer.
Now they got to find 3 more ways to get him into the Hall of Fame. Booker T needs to be a 5-time Hall of Famer.
Was he in the NWO for a half?
He was in the NWO for like a half. He was in there for like a cup of coffee. You also have to put him in there for his tag team with Goldust. That's 4. And I don't know how you...
Wait. No. There is one more thing he could be in for.
King Booker?
King Booker!
Booker T has to be the only 5-time Hall of Famer so that he can come out there and be like, because I'm a 5-time WWE Hall of Famer. And can you dig that, sucker?
One thing I'll say about that is he will probably get in 5 times before Vader will get in once.
I know, I get it. It's and he'll probably get in, and there you go, as a commentator. And as a general manager. I mean, hell, Booker T might be like a 7-time Hall of Famer when it's all said and done.
Booker T could get in for being one of the greatest skits of all time where he got beat up by Stone Cold in a grocery store.
It was funny because at work I was in the smoker's pit and one of the guys knows I'm a wrestling fan and he was like, man, he goes, I like Booker T. And he goes, and I like Steve Austin. He goes, remember that time the Booker T showed up at the grocery store and Stone Cold beat the shit? I just started laughing. I'm like, yep. I'm like, that's one of the greatest moments in wrestling history. For me, at least. I mean, it's right up there. I mean, I know it's not like Tea Time in Santino for you or when showed up as a Confederate soldier. Or
Stone Cold beat the hell out of Vincent Kennedy McMahon at the hospital. That whole... It's not just Stone Cold
it's
with
him. It's Mick
Foley with Mr. Sacco.
Yes, it was fantastic.
Yes. The whole thing.
I fucking love that shit.
But you know what? Congrats to Harlem Heat.
Well
deserved. I'm not going to go on my usual tirade about all the other tag teams and all the other people that deserve to be in like them. But, you know, these guys were one of the greatest tag teams in WCW history.
They were my favorite tag teams in WCW.
Honestly, well, they're not going to put Sister Sherry as part of this. I'm sure Booker T and Stevie Ray are going to give big props because they know. I've heard them in interviews where they're like, without her, it would not have worked at the beginning.
Agreed. And like I said, they were my favorite tag team in WCW in all the years I watched WCW. They're in my top 3 favorite tag teams of all time. They're up there. It's the Dudley Boys, it's the Legion of Doom, and it's the Harlem Heat. They were my 3 favorite tag teams.
And as much as you have personal animosity against Scott Steiner,
the Steiner
one of my greatest feuds growing up, Harlem Heat against the Steiners, and the Steiners had a lot of awesome feuds with a lot of different teams. Harlem Heat, though, was like up there.
Hey.
It was the Steiners versus Doom, Steiners versus Harlem Heat, Steiners versus the Legion of Doom, Steiners versus Luger and Sting. Mm-hmm. They had so many, like, epic matches, and that's why I think...
Steiners versus the Great Muta and Saito?
Yeah, Mr. Saito.
Yes, I got it right. You know, I butchered
that. At Starrcade.
Yes. And I want to say, and I will say this.
Clash 13.
I will say this. Fucking Ole Anderson cost us what could have been the greatest rivalry in Steiner Brothers tag team history when they could have had them go up in the first round against the Botswana Beast and Kalua.
They needed to have the African Continent Championship before they...
Yes, but they could have won, and they would have been the 8th seed going into the fucking tournament, and they would have fucking went up against the Steiner Brothers instead of fucking Colonel Clinkin, whatever the other guy's fucking name was. Colonel Mustard and General Tso's Chicken.
Yes.
I don't fucking remember what their fucking names were. I don't remember what the other team's name was. It was like Colonel something and General Shithead. And I'm like, they went up against Kalua and the Botswana Beast, because that's all I ever remember. Was the fact that Kalua was just this fucking dude, and then fucking Botswana Beast had like a fucking had a fro mullet.
That match.
A fro mullet. I've never seen a fro mullet in my life until I seen the Botswana Beast.
That match.
That pay-per-view, just straight up, that show. That is the worst wrestling show I've ever seen that wasn't produced by Hampton Roads Championship Wrestling.
That show.
It's a treasure. It's a treasure.
It is the Robbie Ross. I was about to say, it's unlike Robbie Ross. Clash of the Champions. It's the Robbie Ross of Clash of Champions.
It is a fucking treasure of a fucking show. I don't even know how many times I've seen it. I've got to seen it at least 1,000 times.
Well, and the thing is, just remember, I've been obsessed with that show long before I introduced it to you.
I will say this, and it's not very often I can actually say this. Clash of the Champions 13 is one of the few shows out there that I have actually seen sober, I've seen drunk, and I've seen high. And I'll tell you right now, it is the most enjoyable when you're high out of your mind. Because the magic show actually is entertaining. Oh my God, that guy turned into a tiger. Where are the Cheetos?
Paulie dangerously does his best to make it work.
The fact that there was 2 goats on the commentary and they couldn't even fucking make it work, it says a lot about that fucking segment.
Tom Zenk.
Oh God, please don't.
His high cross body to fucking thin air. Oh, the Z-Man.
Z-Man.
Rip.
Anyway, let's get back on the fucking whatever.
Yeah, so the Revival won the match. Yeah, per normal. So we had.
Are we gonna talk about Kofi and how he had his impromptu match?
Yeah, Kofi was supposedly being inserted into the Smackdown Live Championship match, only to be thwarted.
The way Vince McMahon worded it was the WWE Championship match was going to be a triple threat match, and he told Kofi to get his way to the ring. He never said, actually, that Kofi Kingston was going to be the third man in the triple threat match. He just announced it was going to be a triple threat match. So Kofi, lollygagged his way down to the ring.
Yeah, lollygag.
And it was like, and our next match is a 2-on-1 handicap match where it was Tornado Rules, which means that both members of the team could be in the ring at the same time against my favorite tag team in WWE right now because of Cesaro and...
What you said made no sense, but proceed.
Yeah, because a lot of times in handicap matches...
Literally, you just said that both members of the tag team could be in the ring and they went against the bar.
Oh, he went against the bar. I'm sorry.
Tornado rules, so Kofi Kingston on his own had to go against two men at the same time.
Because both Big E and Xavier Woods were barred from ringside. And the bar...
They were barred from ringside. You accidentally on purpose did that.
Right.
Against the bar.
Right. Because then it's
that's right up your alley for jokes too.
You used to say that about my ex-girlfriend because her name was Allie. Anyway, so the bar beat the holy hell out of Kofi Kingston.
He had a couple of moments.
He had a couple of moments where he actually looked like he had a chance, and then they just beat the holy hell out of him. And then Woods and Big E tried to make the save, and Rusev and Nakamura knocked them on their ass, and they beat the shit out of them. Not
going to work there anymore.
Not gonna be United States champion anymore or in the main event scene. I'm just gonna stick you with an impromptu tag team, which makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
So that was that. I don't even want to go into any more.
Don't get yourself over. So yeah, Kofi got his butt kicked, but as much as wrestling match wise, yeah, you're kind of like, this is crap. Story wise, it makes complete sense.
Oh yeah, it made a lot of sense.
It's building a lot of sympathy for Kofi. The dude has worked his fucking ass off for over a decade for this company. He deserves his damn shot. So, what's up, Johnny? Thanks for tuning in, dude. Make sure you like, share, and comment, man. Thanks for commenting on this.
I think my only, the one thing I took away from this that it probably should have happened was the fact that if you're going to do this thing with the Gauntlet match, maybe you should have had Nakamura and Rusev be part of the Gauntlet match instead of Randy Orton and Samoa Joe.
Would have made more sense.
So, I mean, but that's just neither here nor there, so whatever.
So, storyline-wise, I completely get this. It's great. Kofi deserves to have his moment in the sun. And I brought it up a few weeks ago. Xavier Woods said his whole thing, he wanted Kofi Kingston to be the heavyweight champion. That's what he wants.
The one thing, Tommy, I would agree with you, any other tag team, except for the fact that Sheamus and Cesaro have been basically shit on as tag team champions because their last reign as Raw tag team champions, they lost to Braun Strowman and a child. And their last reign as tag team champions of Smackdown, they lost to the team of The Miz and Shane McMahon. So I think that they've kind of been getting the shit end of the stick. Not as bad as Anderson and Gallows, who people kind of forget are even there. But I think that it would have made sense, especially because if you think about it, I mean, Anderson and Gallows lost as the tag team champions of Raw
to one person,
to Roman Reigns, and I understand it's the fucking I understand it's the fucking big dog, and he's Vince's lapdog, and.
But by the way, the biggest orgasm, mouth orgasm all week on TV. Michael Cole saying the big dog.
False.
He just wanted to say the big dog.
False.
It was the greatest moment of his life.
It was when WWE announced that they had 1 billion followers on all of social media, and they're the first entity to actually get to 1 billion.
Johnny, thanks for tuning in, dude. Glad you tuned in this week. Make sure you like, share, and comment, and keep coming back, man.
Yes.
But
we can proceed with Fastlane.
Yeah. So we had Daniel Bryan against Kevin Owens, and the outcome here was predictable. And the only surprise here is we had Mustafa Ali added into the match. Again, another triple threat.
And it was basically Mustafa Ali got the Rey Mysterio Royal Rumble treatment from when Dave Batista won the Royal Rumble a few years back. The last night of CM Punk's career in WWE. He's because of the fact that it was him and not Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
And people need to remember that if it wasn't for the fact that Mustafa Ali got hurt, Kofi would have never been in the match in the first place. But the fact is that Kofi is so beloved by the fans of WWE because of the fact that he's so loyal and he's been there forever and he's just a highlight reel and everything, that it kind of just took off in a way that I don't think WWE expected. And it's a shame because that's exactly how Mustafa Ali was going to be booked, but it just he wouldn't have gotten the reaction that he has gotten from this, the way Kofi has. And it's a shame because Mustafa Ali is an incredible talent.
But you know what? It takes time to develop like that bond with the audience. Yeah. And it's nothing against Mustafa Ali.
No, not at all.
There are almost no talents out there that develop that bond immediately. There's probably a handful.
AJ Styles was the only one I could think of off the top of my head.
No. You want to talk? That's not overnight. That's 15 years.
But to the WWE audience, he kind of became, because if you think about it, because like
it's 15 years.
Yes, I understand.
I would say Kurt Angle or The Rock, maybe. Because The Rock, he was hated at first, but the second he turned heel, all of a sudden, people latched on to him. But, like, beyond that, Stone Cold Steve Austin, how many
people
years
hated him as the ringmaster. He was
don't even talk that. How many years did he wallow in, like, mediocrity, middle card?
He was in the fucking...
How many years?
A long time. He was part of the Hollywood Blondes with fucking Brian Pillman.
Don't act like wait. The Hollywood Blondes got over. They didn't give them enough time to get over as much as they could.
Well, that's my point. Is that I was trying to add on to your point. Is that Steve Austin was in WCW for a long time. He is a former WCW television champion. He was also part of the Hollywood Blondes. But none of that really stuck.
He was a tag team champion.
Yeah, he was a tag team champion with the Hollywood Blondes, and that was the only time he really had any kind of a fucking following. Then he went to ECW. He had a fucking cup of coffee and a piece of pie at ECW. Then he went to WWE, and he was the ringmaster. And he was associated with fucking Ted DiBiase.
You cannot be Mustafa Ali and get the same connection that Kofi has with the audience. It's nothing against Mustafa Ali. You just have not been there long enough. Just like if I showed up in let's say, I knew you, I just got to know you in the last month.
Yeah.
If something happened to me, dramatic, you might be impacted. But if you've known me for a decade or a decade and a half,
like I have,
and something dramatic happened to me,
well, I'd be devastated.
What would you feel?
Devastated.
And that's the thing. It sometimes, unfortunately, for a dude like Kofi who like deserved better than what he got, sometimes you gotta take that fucking long road because sometimes you're not big enough, you're not fast enough, and you don't have the charisma. Kofi has pretty good charisma. He's not The Rock. He's not Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Wait, come on.
I'm just saying, if you don't have that charisma, you need something else to propel you. Well, guess what? Hard worker, and it took time. He didn't have quite as much like built up. Daniel Bryan had been on the independent scene for years and built up enough of a following that when he finally got launched up into Wrestlemania territory, he had something because he had built it up on the independent scene. With Kofi, unfortunately, they had done a lot of shit with him on WWE TV not purposely to keep him down. Some of it was. Randy Orton stuff was kind of purposely to keep him down eventually. But, like, he didn't build up a following of people around the country, you know, winning them over at bingo halls and winning them over at independent shows. He was on WWE TV not winning a lot. And it's tough to overcome that and break through that fucking ceiling where it took an unfortunate incident for him to fucking get over.
I think the best way to describe Kofi Kingston and what this run has meant, and if it actually culminates in him actually getting over the top at WrestleMania, the best example I can think of as a talent and where he stands in the card is Eddie Guerrero.
It's very reminiscent of WrestleMania 20.
Because when Eddie Guerrero was in WCW, he was a very solid performer. He was a former cruiserweight champion. Eddie Guerrero could have a fucking match against a fucking mop and people would be entertained. He moved over to WCW when he was or WWE when he was in the Radicals with Benoit, Malenko, and Perry Saturn, and kind of just floundered in there. And people knew what he meant as a wrestler. And then he went on and beat Brock Lesnar to become the World Heavyweight Champion.
One of the greatest championship matches.
And I'll tell you right now, there isn't a fucking soul on this planet who is a wrestling fan that would say that they were disappointed that Eddie Guerrero was a WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Because if anybody deserved it, it was Eddie. Because Eddie did it for so long. And obviously, he didn't have as many years tied to WWE like Kofi did. But as a wrestler over the years, just between his time in WCW and WWE,
independent scene, ECW,
in Mexico, he deserved it. And I was very happy for Eddie Guerrero when he won the title. Even when I wasn't even watching, and I found out Eddie Guerrero won, and I was like, holy shit! I'm like, I fucking love Eddie Guerrero. And that's the best way I could describe it, is that Kofi Kingston is kind of like the modern day version of Eddie Guerrero, because their styles are kind of similar, not extremely similar, but they're kind of similar. Eddie Guerrero did have fucking charisma, though. Eddie Guerrero fucking oozed charisma. And not a lot of people have that. And another person that actually comes to mind, and I really don't want to bring him up, is fucking Chris Benoit. Because Chris Benoit was one of those guys that was in WCW for a long time, had a pretty solid run. He went to WWE. He has no fucking charisma whatsoever. All Chris Benoit does is go in there and beat the fucking shit out of you.
And have, like, 4-star plus matches.
Yes, and he was a great in-ring performer. He would beat the shit out of you, but he had the fucking personality of a paper bag. And, you know, he finally got his opportunity. He became the World Heavyweight Champion. So that's the best way to put it. And that's at both ends of the spectrum from what we're talking about with Kofi Kingston. Yes, I know that Kofi Kingston is not The Rock. And I know that Kofi Kingston is not Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I know that Kofi Kingston is not Hulk Hogan. And I know that Kofi Kingston is not Chris Jericho. But those are guys who are just above and beyond when it comes to charisma and character-wise. They're just they're second to nobody. That group of guys right there. But I will say this: ever since Kofi Kingston joined the New Day, he's actually developed himself as a little bit better of a character and has kind of gotten over. Obviously, Big E
he was over
before, but it wasn't because of the fact that he could cut promos and stuff like that. It was because of the fact that he was a very good in-ring performer, and he was serviceable enough on the microphone to get himself to where he needed to be to become a United States champion and an Intercontinental champion.
He's won everything except for heavyweight title at this point.
And the fact is, he is the greatest tag team champion personally, because he has held the tag team championships longer than any other wrestler in the history of WWE, accumulated time. And the fact is that he got better. Obviously, Big E benefited more from the New Day because Big E was fucking...
Well, Xavier Woods, I think, they all benefited.
Yeah, they all...
Xavier Woods was going nowhere.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it worked out for him. It's amazing how those three guys, obviously, I think with Kofi's resume, he would have eventually gotten to the WWE Hall of Fame, which Vince McMahon said he was going to be a future WWE Hall of Famer. Big E was just like a powerhouse, former Intercontinental Champion. I don't think he would. I think he would have been one of those guys that were just borderline, maybe snuck in if he won a couple more titles. And Xavier Woods was probably one of those guys that was destined for future endeavorment. And they kind of put together this New Day thing, and it's kind of fucking
well, did you see Xavier Woods' interview from a couple months ago where he told Vince McMahon, put the three of us together? He knew their chemistry together, and he's like, this is going to work.
Yeah.
And he literally gambled his job on the fact New Day would work.
And what did that do for Vince McMahon? It made him millions of dollars, millions of dollars, millions of dollars. And they are arguably in the conversation as one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
They might be the top money-making tag team of all time.
I can't argue that.
Between merchandise, between people wanting just to see them against the fucking Usos.
Christ, Jay, I spent $15 on a box of cereal like 2 years ago. I still haven't eaten. Is this expired? Oh yeah, it's way expired. This can be expired.
You could have eaten that, like, it. I don't think you'd get sick from that, but
I don't know if I would want to. I can't drink milk anyway, so it makes me sick. That would just be a horrible combination, unless I drink it with beer.
Lactate.
It's
right.
Not worth it.
All right.
Anyway, so let's.
So on top of that, we had Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair, and we all knew Becky was going to win because they were going to make this triple threat match at WrestleMania.
Does that have our prediction, like what we predicted and everything? Wait a minute. Wait.
So we knew that Becky was going to win, and I believe all of us predicted that Ronda was going to get involved and there was going to be some fuckery. And that is exactly what happened. There was fuckery, and Ronda got involved. But we knew that. That was storyline-wise, that made complete sense. Ronda said, you know what match this needs to be. You need to make it happen. And you know, this was her way of forcing it to happen. Later on Monday Night Raw, there is some stuff that I'm like, the fuck? But this made complete sense for the storyline, and good for them. It worked.
The only take I have on this that I actually wish they had done a little bit differently was the fact that Ronda came in the ring, basically jumped up and punched Becky. I would have preferred that Ronda just went in there and just wailed the shit out of Becky, and that's how she got disqualified, because it would have made for a little bit better of a storyline. And then went out and beat the shit out of Charlotte too. Just the fact that she just basically went in there, jumped up, punched Becky. That's how she gets disqualified. She kind of looks at fucking Charlotte, gets out of the ring. Charlotte's all fucking pissed off.
Let's move it along, man.
And just, I don't know. It's just that kind of irked me. That's all. I think they could have done a little bit more with that. That's all. And I think that maybe, or Charlotte could have beat the shit out of Becky after the match. I think that basically them just kind of just having that be the end of the match, and it was just like, all right, that's it. That's just what really kind of bothered me about it.
All right.
That's all. And lastly, and certainly not least, we had a Shield reunion, one last ride, where they took on the team of Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre. And my God, they beat the holy hell out of each other.
It was a great match.
It was a great match. I thoroughly enjoyed that. The one thing I took away from it is I didn't realize how small Roman Reigns is now, as opposed to when he, his pre-leukemia fight. There was a lot of times during the match, and I was like, "Oh shit, look at that! Oh wait, that's Roman." And that was just the one thing that I took away from that. I mean, they literally beat the shit out of each other.
This was a fantastic match. It was a great match for the Shield to go out on.
Yeah.
I'm not completely convinced that this is the last time we will see them. But I'm convinced it will be the last time we see them for a while.
I am on the and where I think that we will see.
We might see Dean Ambrose still in WWE. I don't think we're going to see the Shield for a while. You don't promote something and then 2 weeks later bring it back unless, it's CM Punk after he says he's leaving forever.
Don't get me started on that shit. I'm glad we weren't doing the podcast at that time because I would have went off on that shit.
But anyway, really good match. And this led to Monday Night Raw, which is going to lead into Roman Reigns' feud for WrestleMania, which I think is going to be actually fantastic.
McIntyre. Which would be interesting because a lot of
So basically on Monday Night Raw, we ended up having Roman Reigns get his head kicked into the side of the fucking ring post. And, he was at least kind of seeming like he got a concussion. And then Dean Ambrose decided, hey, I'm going to step up and I'm going to go against Drew McIntyre for, beating up my Shield brethren. And, McIntyre ends up winning in a Falls Count Anywhere match and ends up beating the hell out of Ambrose after it. But I think this is as good as they could have booked a Roman Reigns return as far as like having a high-profile WrestleMania match that does not overreach.
Yeah.
And it also elevates Drew McIntyre, who, like, the dude's been a fucking beast. He looks fantastic. He cuts a good promo, and yeah.
As long as he's not in the ring with Tiffany.
Yeah, she would beat him up.
Sorry. And there was a lot of talks that Drew McIntyre was supposed to fight John Cena at WrestleMania this year. And the fact that it's going to be Roman Reigns instead, I think is fantastic. I was kind of hoping for Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin. Because if it's his return and he just battled leukemia, I would love to have seen him go over on Baron Corbin. Obviously, a lot of people would like to see Drew McIntyre be in the main event picture. If he were actually able to go over on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, I mean, it'd be hard-pressed for him to not be considered like the number one challenger if Seth Rollins does beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
He'll need a challenger.
Yeah.
So instead of having somebody beat Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, you could actually have him ascend a legitimate way.
Yes, agreed.
So I thought they booked this just about perfect.
The only other thing I want to take away from Fastlane was the fact that they had your boy Elias come out on 3 different occasions, and he shit all over the Cleveland fans throughout the night. I mean, he basically said he was going to go to LA and hang out with LeBron. He shit all over the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, now he won't be shitting all over the Cleveland Browns. And I thought there was 2 things about it that I really wanted to bring up. Number one, he didn't say one goddamn thing about the fucking Indians. Is it because he knows that they're a bunch of bums and they're led by the fucking man who loves bums more than anybody else has ever loved bums? And number 2, if it wasn't for his last segment during Fastlane, we wouldn't have gotten the start of the build-up for the match that I cannot wait for at WrestleMania. Because he did his thing, and he basically shit on the Cleveland fans. And Lacey Evans came out and did her thing where she walked down the ramp and then turned around and went back up the ramp. And then he ate an RKO, which nobody expected to happen, which is why the RKO is still the greatest, was the greatest, and will forever be the greatest finisher of all time. And then Randy Orton did his thing in the ring. And then, oh, look, AJ Styles comes up and hits him with a phenomenal forearm, which is setting up for the match I cannot wait for WrestleMania. Randy Orton, AJ Styles, collision course, baby. Woo! I don't even give a shit about the rest of the card. That's the match I cannot wait to fucking see. Because this past week on Smackdown, they set it up perfectly because of this whole Randy Orton talking about how AJ Styles was a guy who claims that it's his house, but it took him forever to get there and everything. And then AJ Styles basically went out there and talked shit about Randy Orton, like how Randy Orton needed evolution, he needed legacy, the fact that he was in the Wyatt family, the fact that Randy Orton was, did all this other stupid shit, rated RKO. It is so fucking good. And those two are going to have an amazing match at WrestleMania. I am 100% vested in this fucking match. It is the match on this card I cannot wait for. No disrespect to Ronda. No disrespect to Becky. No disrespect to Charlotte. No disrespect to anybody else. That's the match I cannot fucking wait for.
All right.
I'm so excited. I'm like Jeff Snyder when fucking Johnny Gargano's music hits. That's how excited I am.
Right.
And you know how excited he gets for that.
Right.
So, I'm sorry. I had to bring that up because it was very important. Because for a fact that there was two guys who didn't even have a match that impacted the card and built towards WrestleMania, like I said was going to happen for Fastlane because they kind of have to just set off and build towards WrestleMania a little bit more. That was something I wanted to bring up because it was the match that I was hoping for and excited for now. So, sorry.
Yeah.
Not sorry.
So we're going to get that match. I don't know. Their build up for this match, it was a good promo, good setup, and Orton more or less being like the elitist snob, like I was in WWE, and then AJ like, yeah, well, it was because of your dad, more or less like, hey, you're the rich kid, but.
I think it's a possibility that we could see Kurt Angle versus John Cena at WrestleMania. There's a lot of possibilities.
But I like Tommy's idea of Finn Balor versus Kurt Angle.
I like my idea.
Finn doesn't have anything to do right now.
I like my idea.
I'd like him to be in a high-profile match.
I like my idea of EC3, but it is what it is.
But you could tell at this point that, they couldn't give two shits about EC3, and they don't see anything for him. They see more in Finn Balor than they do EC3. So what are you going to do? Are you going to throw your last Kurt Angle match behind a guy you don't have a lot of faith in, or are you going to throw it behind a guy you might have some faith in?
Technically, he has, and we'll get into that a little bit, Zen Phoenix, because we still haven't done our good and the bad and the brainless. So, I know we concentrated very heavily on tag teams, so I think this would be a good segue for the fact that we had the Dusty Rhodes Memorial Tag Team Tournament second round this week as Mustache Mountain went up against the Forgotten Sons. They're so forgotten that everybody forgets who they are. Ha! See what I did there?
Yeah, great.
It was it's Blake Murphy and what the hell's the other guy's name? Steve Cutler.
And Cutler, and they got
Jackson Ryder.
Riker.
Well, by the way, he's 37. He's a year older than me. And that dude is fucking ripped as shit, so there's still hope for me.
Yeah. Get on the bike, dude.
Get on the bike, start lifting some weights, do a few crunches here and there. And for the love of God, the brainless one, stop eating goddamn cookies.
Right.
They're so good.
So anyway, Forgotten Sons and Mustache Mountain, for the most part, an entertaining match. Another thing that has been happening a lot that bothers me.
What is that, Cousin Jay?
When you have a tag team partner that has a clear injury, and you decide to tag them into the damn match when you haven't been in the ring that long. It is one of the dumbest things that they seem to like to latch onto. No, guess what? I'm not going to have sympathy for that person because that was the dumbest thing that they've done. Hey, tag me in. I'm hurting. My knee is buckling and I can barely stand up. Tag me in. It's a great idea. No. Stop fucking doing it. Stop booking shit that way. It's retarded. It's
kind of like if we were a tag team and you would just constantly tag me in even though you know that I'm fucking brainless.
Right.
See? I know. I will say this. The one thing I took away from it was the fact that Tyler Bate ate the pinfall and it couldn't have happened to a better person. And I'm kind of glad that the Forgotten Sons...
I'm just going to bring this up. Couldn't have happened to a better person. Like it couldn't have been X-Pac, a.k.a. episode 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 kid. Would you have rather happened it to
I'm going to throw X-Pac? My goddamn shoe at you. You understand? I'm going to throw my goddamn shoe at you. I am fucking sick and tired of this shit. It's bad enough that fucking pube is going to be in the fucking WWE Hall of Fame. But the fact is, you have to constantly fucking bring him into this shit.
He's going to main event that Hall of Fame class this year. He's probably going to say something that they're going to replay as a highlight for the years to come. It's going to be like when Razor Ramon went in, and he's like, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. It's going to be like that. It's going to be that good.
It's amazing how... Never mind. I'm just going to stop right here. I don't even want to bring it up.
So,
the active people, yes,
Sounds,
it could have happened to a better person, because Tyler Bates a derp.
Right. He doesn't even do that anymore.
I know, but that shit fucking...
He hasn't done that in over a year. He was 19 years old. Give him a break. What did you know when you were 19?
I couldn't even drink when I was 19. What the fuck did I know? Oh! I knew that marijuana was the gateway, because that's when I started smoking pot. I started smoking pot when I was 19. That's
and it led to nothing.
Exactly. When they say that marijuana is a gateway drug,
bullshit.
The only drug I ever did was marijuana. For a very, very long time. 16 years.
Sad.
16 years, right? Yeah, 16 years.
Yeah. So, anyway. The Forgotten Sons have been, I guess, the surprise of the tournament. They have not been what I would call great as far as, in the ring. They were terrible in the first round. They actually carried Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan to the worst match I've ever seen the two of them in. This match was better, but again, the idea of lately, last week, Lorcan kept tagging in when he was clearly injured. This week, you had Trent Seven tagging in when he was clearly injured. Why? If you're talking in-ring psychology and you're trying to make this thing look realistic, it looks realistically stupid to tag in somebody who's hurt.
Correct.
You look over, oh, my friend's hurt. You know what? I feel okay. Let me keep going.
Wrong. You're right. But at least in the other match we got for the Dusty Rhodes match for the
we finals. Had a great finishing of a storyline in a great match.
DIY returned once again to go up against the team of Aleister Black and the Ricochet. Excuse me. That wasn't a burp. That was a...
I know. It's stupid.
Anyway, pretty solid match. At the end, Aleister Black and Ricochet went over on DIY.
Well, the thing with this is, I wouldn't even say pretty solid match. It was a pretty fucking... You got something more important than this? You got basically guys that are building towards a storyline. Mm-hmm. One of them got injured, and so they had to fast forward this storyline. But what they did in this match was you had Johnny Gargano faking an injury to set up Tommaso Ciampa, and they actually did the fucking injury right, where oh, the guy's injured, he shouldn't tag in. He shouldn't tag in. So he doesn't tag in, and his team loses, but he was setting up Tommaso Ciampa all along. And lo and behold, end of the match, when Ciampa's helping him back after they lose, after Ciampa ends up eating the black mass and ends up eating the 630 and getting pinned, he goes to do what he did, Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling, over a year ago, where he threw him into the Titantron and ended up, yes, over a year ago. And Johnny Gargano, and throws Ciampa into the Titantron and kicked Ciampa and beat the hell out of him and running Ciampa off TV. And like I said last week, Tommaso Ciampa, you stay out as long as you can to be as healthy as you can when you return. I don't want it to be like Paige, where she thinks she's healthy enough to return and, you know, is only back for like a month or two and
gets injured at a house show.
And you're gone forever.
Yep.
Come back healthy, dude. Because I want to see the end of this storyline and I don't want to see people hurt.
Agreed. I thought they did it so perfectly too. So it'll lead to Aleister Black and the Ricochet going up against the Forgotten Sons. The winners win the Dusty Rhodes Memorial Tag Team Tournament and get a shot at the War Raiders and tag team titles at NXT TakeOver New York.
Yep.
So.
And they didn't announce this, but we have a vacant NXT title, and they're going to have to figure that out at TakeOver. I've seen the thing where they've announced a match for that championship. There are parts of me storyline-wise that don't get it. I get it as far as who the top two stars are in NXT, but when one of the people in the match has not won a match on TV or pay-per-view for a while,
yeah.
As much as I love that dude, and he's a fucking top talent.
Yes.
What the fuck?
I don't care. I'm fully vested for that match too. Not as vested as our friend El Jefe is.
Right.
But yeah.
But we're not going to ruin that for people. You guys watch and you'll figure out what's going on.
Right. So I think this leads to us doing the good, the bad, and the brainless for this week.
Damn straight.
So what was your good for this week, Cousin Jay?
Elias all week this week. I mean, you know me. I preferred the heel end of Elias. Nothing wrong with, you know, Elias as a face. He just works better as a heel. The fact that he shit on Cleveland, the fact that he shit on his hometown of Pittsburgh on Monday Night Raw, fucking great. I fucking love this dude. He could have a 3-hour concert on Raw, and it would probably be more interesting than what they actually script out.
It's better than having Baron Corbin talking on a microphone.
Ironically enough, I think the last couple of weeks he has not been too terribly bad.
That's the Cousin Jay vote of confidence when you get to too terribly bad.
Not too terribly bad.
Yeah. My good for this week? The fact that we're getting AJ Styles and Randy Orton at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
There was a lot of parts about
there were so many good things this week.
I mean, there was parts of the pay-per-view I wanted to put as my good. There was parts that actually happened on Raw and SmackDown this week I wanted to put as my good.
I mean, Johnny Wrestling, that angle was
it was good.
It was perfectly executed.
But I'm sorry, as a fan of Randy Orton and a fan of AJ Styles, and the fact that I want to see AJ Styles have a lot of like these quote-unquote dream matches at WrestleMania, him versus Randy Orton is the perfect situation of like the guy from WWE that isn't John Cena. Obviously, Randy Orton's still there and Cena's kind of part-time versus AJ Styles, who was like the diaper dandy of the fucking indie scene and made a name for himself outside of WWE before getting there. This is the match I want to see, so that's why it's my good.
This feud reminds me of Randy Orton and CM Punk from years ago, except for I think AJ Styles overall is a better wrestler.
Oh, 100% agree.
CM Punk is a better talker, but AJ Styles is a better wrestler.
And that's not
it'll be a better match.
And that's not a slight on Punk, because Punk can wrestle too. And I could see AJ Styles and Randy Orton stealing the show this year.
They could.
I'd put money on it. What's your bet?
the IC title is a hot potato. We've had the U.S. title as a hot potato lately, and the Intercontinental title they put on Finn Balor to further a storyline with Lio Rush and Bobby Lashley. I mean, it seems like a nothing wrinkle for a nothing storyline, and they make the Intercontinental title less relevant after The Miz and Seth Rollins and Finn Balor did all they could to try to elevate it. And it's just, it's sad.
I agree. The Intercontinental Championship being the hot potato title, just like the United States Championship. Basically, the secondary titles between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT have kind of been like the hot potato championships. Because I know that, obviously, there's only been 4 champions for the North American Championship. But the fact is, the title will be 1 year old WrestleMania weekend, and we've already had 4 different champions. And if for whatever reason the Velveteen Dream drops the title to whoever and maybe he fights the Bro and Bro beats him.
I mean, that seems where it's pointing.
In a year. That's kind of, I'm sorry, that's still considered a hot potato. And I really hope that's not the case. Obviously, the Intercontinental title has become more of a hot potato. The U.S. Championship has definitely been a hot potato title. And I just think that secondary titles have kind of just been hot potatoed and just, it just upsets me.
Right.
What's your brainless this week?
Ronda Rousey a couple of weeks ago on Raw more or less relinquished the Raw Heavyweight Championship.
Women's.
And somehow, she is once again the Raw Women's Champion. She was walking around with the title. They didn't explain anything about this. They more or less... I know they made it ambiguous when she dropped the title. Oh, what does that mean? Stephanie McMahon, when she came out on TV the next week and explained shit, more or less said, Ronda has given up the title, so we're going to have this match at this pay-per-view to decide who the Raw champion is. And then when Ronda interjected on the pay-per-view, somehow Becky is not the champion. It shouldn't have mattered whether it was DQ. It was whoever won that match was supposed to be the champion. And somehow Ronda is the champion again. I'm guessing it's because they know Ronda will garner more media attention and they want her to have the title on her. They should have fucking thought about this beforehand. Again, it should be Becky versus Ronda. Adding Charlotte into this is why they had to do this stupid big loop around and have the 2 SmackDown fucking women going for the Raw title, which makes no fucking sense. A lot of the things with this storyline don't make sense. The only thing about it that makes sense is they jump-started a feud with Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey, and the fact that Becky Lynch won the Royal Rumble, she gets to choose whoever the hell she wants to go against. That all makes sense. All this other ancillary shit they've done has just muddled it. It has made it, for me, less realistic and more just fuckery.
Right.
So, Ronda coming out with the championship is my brainless this week.
It's a very solid brainless. That is a very solid brainless, and I was curious where you were going to go. I'm going to go a different route.
All right.
If you don't mind. I'm going to go with EC3 is my brainless. And it's not because of EC3 himself. It's the way that they've been booking EC3. When they made this big deal about a couple months ago about how they were going to promote these 6 stars that were going to be coming up from NXT. It was Lars Sullivan. It was Nikki Cross. It was Lacey Evans. It was our favorite tag team, Heavy Machinery. And it was EC3.
Okay.
Obviously, we have not seen Lars Sullivan because he had a nervous breakdown the night he was supposed to debut on the main roster. Nikki Cross really hasn't done anything. They kind of just fucked that up. Lacey Evans has been kind of predominant in how she just kind of comes
She
out
honestly is the only one that makes sense to go against Asuka in a one-on-one match at this point.
And Heavy Machinery's been getting actual matches on both Raw and SmackDown, so at least they're utilizing them a little bit better than they have. EC3, on the other hand, has kind of been in the back, posing, doing all this shit, hasn't had any matches on Raw or SmackDown. And basically this week was a major step back in regards to EC3 because they kept him down in NXT for a very short time and then brought him up because they really wanted to put him up there and promote him and get him to be something special, unlike when he was in his first run with WWE as Derek Bateman. Unfortunately, that's not the case. On SmackDown this week, he finally came out and he had a segment with Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville where they were like, "Oh, you're EC3," and they're like, "Oh, you're finally going to say something." And Sonya Deville basically acted like Mandy Rose was her girlfriend, and she didn't like the fact that EC3 was hitting on Mandy, so she basically shit all over EC3. I can let that slide. Obviously, you're trying to build up them to build the SmackDown women's title picture with Asuka and everything. But the fact is,
it goes that way.
I'm sorry.
Assuming it goes that way.
Assuming it goes that way. You're right. Thank you. But the fact is that on main event this week, EC3 went one-on-one with Tyler Breeze. Tyler Breeze, who started off his singles career in WWE on the main roster, 0-143 before he finally got his first victory, was part of a comedic tag team with Fandango. I'm sorry. No. You got it?
Nah, it's going to take a couple.
That's right. I'll just do it. No. It's Fandango. Obviously, the fashion files were actually rather entertaining, so I'm not going to shit on those. But the fact is that Tyler Breeze is not somebody who you expect to have any kind of anything for fucking the main roster or anything. But the fact is that Tyler Breeze beat EC3 on main event, which is like the show that everybody forgets is actually still a show. So the fact is they've just been kind of Derek Bateman in EC3 this so far. And that really just fucking bothers me, and that's my brain list for this week.
All right.
So I think we touched base on everything.
Yeah.
Did we do Fastlane results?
Damn straight.
Did we talk about Kofi's Gauntlet road to WrestleMania?
Yeah. No. You know, I'm just going to add this in there.
Good.
One of my favorite video games, arcade games growing up, was Gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like seeing Gauntlet matches every week, though.
No, but the fact is that Seth Rollins and that Gauntlet match on Raw is still going on, by the way.
Yes. So is Kofi's.
Yes.
So.
But not Heavy Machineries that they just had like a couple
No. They squashed everybody.
Especially the sandwiches that they ate in catering afterwards.
Yes. And the buffet at the Crazy Buffet and the Golden Corral.
Oh my God. I just realized something. We went in almost an entire episode without bringing up Cassius Ohno once. That's going to be like a new record. That's going to be like a 47 episode streak that we snapped where we didn't talk about Cassius Ohno and his eating habits during the podcast. Usually it's one of those things where
the Marauder of Meatloaf.
The Marauder of Meatloaf goes down and fucking demolishes Denny's, and the fact that he is banned from like 97 different restaurant chains in the fucking world, not even just the country, in the world. I mean, Pat's considers him the Punisher of Philly's cheesesteak, so.
Yeah.
See? Guy had to do it.
Right.
See what I did there, Tommy?
Self-fulfilling prophecy, baby.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's 3 guarantees in life. Death, taxes, and I have to talk shit about Cassius Ohno and the fact that he's a fat piece of shit and he's very close to being a fucking sumo. Sorry. Anyway, did we talk about how Alexa Bliss is going to host WrestleMania this year?
Yep.
Did we talk about the finals are set for the Dusty Rhodes Memorial Classic Tag Team Tournament?
Yes.
Did we wish a happy 79th birthday to WWE Hall of Famer and both of our personal favorites, the Iron Sheik?
I got his autograph. I got a picture with him too. Not just this picture where, all right. So with this thing, it has my name, and it has Iron Sheik on it. His handler guy, his manager, had to write to Jason, and then
Iron Sheik just wrote
Iron Sheik.
He wrote iron in plain English, and then chic was in cursive.
And like, his dude had to tell him like what letters to put. I respect the fact that the dude came from another country and knows more languages than I do. But it's like, dude, you've been in the country this long, you can't. But
which is funny because that's like kind of like when I met Rob Van Dam and got his autograph. When you're like, you go to meet Rob Van Dam, one of your favorite wrestlers, and your name happens to be Rob, and the guy goes, "Hey, your name is Rob," and they're like, and you know, you go in there and they're like, "Hey, RV," they're like, "RVD, this is Rob," and they're like, "Hey, Rob, how you doing? Good." I'm like, I figured this would be an easy one for you. He goes, "You know what's kind of funny?" But I'm like, "You've got to be fucking kidding me."
Yeah.
The fact that the night before when he was in New York and he was like, "Yeah, I met a guy and his name was Rob," and I was like, "Oh, this should be easy for me," and it turned out the guy had 2 B's in his name.
Oh.
ROBB. And he's like, "Really, dude?" I'm like, "I fucking love you, RVD."
Yeah.
Anyway, did we do our good, bad, and the brainless?
Yeah, we did.
Did we drink our Colt 45s? Did we shamelessly plug our podcast?
We did, and make sure if you are on the Twitters or are you on the YouTubes, that you like our friends at Daily Wrestling Entertainment on Facebook. Unfortunately, some asshole hacker ended up hacking into the account that they had, and they had a whole bunch of followers, and more or less they've all gone away, and we're trying to build that page back up. So make sure you go Daily Wrestling Entertainment on Facebook. Make sure you like that page. That is where we are live on Facebook every week, and
always
they have great content on there beyond us.
And that's not just saying that because we have a partnership with them. I actually do. I thoroughly enjoy them. I am really excited about the fact that we are working together with them because they are really good at what they do, and it's fun. It's not just a learning page about professional wrestling. It's very informative, but it is very fun as well. And I just wanted to.
It's everything wrestling should be.
And also make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Periscope, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on the YouTube at the letter T, the letter H, the letter E, the letter F, the letter N, MARKS. And if you like us, subscribe to us, and follow us on any of those platforms. We will follow you, like you, and subscribe back, because that's always been our motto. I think that's how it works. I don't know how
something like that.
But it sounded good anyway. So I think that's it. I think we touched base on everything.
Except for one thing about one of our greatest superstars on this show ever.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about somebody who shares a distinctive title with the likes of Billy D. Williams and Tommy?
Yes.
Is it because of the fact that there is somebody who is actually on our wall
twice
that we need to talk about?
Twice.
Is it because of the fact that a former United States champion, Intercontinental champion, and tag team, I think he's a United States champion, I could be wrong on that. I know he's Intercontinental.
Intercontinental and tag team. I don't think he was.
But is it because of the fact that today, at February 15th, I don't know why I looked it up, it was 2 days after my birthday. March. Wow. Have another one, brainless one. On March 15th of 2019, at an astonishing 1,510 days that Tommy just fucking dropped out of before the end of, Curtis Axel is still alive in the 2015 Royal Rumble. Tommy couldn't even fucking stay to watch his favorite part of the podcast.
No, he had to drop out.
That upsets me in ways you don't understand. Anyway, so that is episode 123, or the X-Pac episode of the F and Marks podcast.
I'm your co-host, Jay.
And I am Brainless Bob. Make sure you mark out
with your guac out. See you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you next week.
Same bat time.
Yeah, we're same bat channel. It will be next Friday.
Yes.
See you guys.
Later.